to What's Up Japan. We'll bring you news commentary and a report from our studios at NHK in Tokyo. Hi, I'm Kaori Nimura. Today's report is about an endoscope that can detect cancer, so please stay tuned. And we first bring you news commentary. Today's talk considers what it means to live in an internet web-connected society. The talk was written by Toru Nishigaki, a professor at the University of Tokyo, and it will be read by Yuji Osawa.
We are in an era characterized by an extraordinary profusion of information. The internet, the web, in which anyone can readily insert information, has been the main factor for this. We cannot overlook blogs in particular. They enable people to express their impressions and views on the web, almost as if it were a diary. A study put the number of bloggers in Japan at 8,680,000 as of March last year. The figure is already estimated to surpass 10 million. Leaving aside children and the elderly, it means 1 in 10 people in Japan are writing blogs. Adeptly, harnessing the information from the web is essential if we are to live in this web-connected society. Let's say, for example, that we have contracted an illness which is new to us. Anyone would want to know the best hospital to go to in order to receive proper treatment. We can get an idea not only from the various hospital websites, but also from people with blogs who have actually received treatment at medical institutions. It helps if we know how to look. Search engines can quickly let us find what we want from the vast amount of unnecessary information. Many of you would no doubt be familiar with the new approach referred to as Web 2.0, which has been attracting a lot of attention since last year. But the convenient Web 2.0 is not without its pitfalls. If you conduct a search by entering in a keyword or a phrase, you could end up having thousands, tens of thousands, or even millions of sites listed on the screen in certain cases. However, we end users would glance at most at the first few dozen sites. In other words, it is very important that the information everybody is reading be ranked near the top of the list. Conversely, sites ranked toward the bottom end up being submerged and for the most ignored in the information ocean. The rankings are determined by computers. Specifically, how is it done? The details are corporate secrets, which will not be divulged. But the idea is widely followed, for example, of giving high rankings to sites which are frequently accessed. In this instance, we can soon see how sites near the top of the list will ascend over time, while those near the bottom will sink ever further. In the end, it means people's opinions are skewed toward similar ones, which tends to eliminate the minority opinions. So what can we do to avoid that pitfall? It is important, first of all, to try to reflect on the idea of simply obtaining information. What is information in the first place? It tends to be regarded as something like a sequence of one-note digital signals. While information is made up of mere symbols, the really important thing is the meaning and content expressed by them. Some people believe that they can search the web and obtain the right information as if it were a package. But they only acquire the outward symbols, not any profound meaning or content. Information is something that must always be accurately conveyed. Unless a person can get a feeling for the information, they will not have any deep understanding of it. Accordingly, there are times when we have to shut ourselves off consciously from the information on the web. It can become an information overload at times. Clicking off the web lets us ponder things independently in our own mind without being distracted by what is happening around us. I'm not saying that the information from the web is useless. We can use it to compare our ideas with existing ones, use it to seek out detailed data, and use it to make our own work more complete. Thus, it is increasingly important for us to take proper stock of the benefits and shortcomings of the web in this era where information exists in so much profusion.
News commentary. Today's talk was written by Toru Nishigaki, a professor at the University of Tokyo, and was read by Yuji Osawa. Time now for a report. Every Tuesday, we bring you a report that features the latest developments in science and technology. So, Yuji, what do you have to tell us about today?
Today we look at a new endoscope which can detect cancer in its early stages with the aid of special lights. But before we go on to that, we have our TechnoSpot segment. We feature a new technology to treat ballast water.
Ballast water? What's that?
The ballast is the seawater that a ship stores on board in order to keep its balance. Let's say we have a shipment of vehicles from Japan. The vessel will be carrying lots of vehicles on its outward voyage, but will be empty on its return leg. But actually, it wouldn't end up like that.
No, it would be very dangerous. The ship would sit too high in the water and not able to keep a proper balance.
That's right. So the vessel has to weigh itself down with ballast water. Ballast in the form of seawater at the point it emptied its cargo.
But the ballast water is no longer required at the end of its voyage.
That's right. The seawater picked up at the departure point ends up being released in Japanese waters. In the case of goods being shipped to Japan, Japanese seawater ends up being released elsewhere. This blending of seawater from various countries occurs around the globe.
I see. But why the need to treat this ballast water?
Because the water contains microorganisms that are non-native species in different areas. It's a serious problem worldwide. Ballast water from Japan containing the spores of Japanese seaweed and starfish eggs has ended up in Australian waters where these species have proliferated. They are seriously injuring the local ecosystems and fishing industries.
So something has to be done fast then.
That's right. A team put together by the Japan Association of Maritime Safety, shipbuilders and other groups have come up with a revolutionary method for treating ballast water.
So tell me about it, Yuji.
In simple terms, the microorganisms are shredded by jets of water. The team developed a special disc that fits into the sluice pipe. The disc is fashioned with a large number of narrow slits, which create complicated jets of water and rapid changes of pressure when seawater pass through them. It tears up any microorganisms that are present. Bigger creatures such as fish and shellfish are removed beforehand with a filter, which is attached to the sluice opening.
The technology is bad news for microorganisms, but it's friendly to the oceans since it doesn't use any strange chemicals to treat the water.
Yes. The team has tried out the system on some container vessels, and the technology should soon become available. And next, we look at the technology for a new kind of endoscope, which relies on two particular types of light to detect cancer.
An endoscope is a medical device consisting of a lens which is attached to the end of a long, narrow tube. The tube is inserted into the body so doctors can get a look inside.
That's right. The images captured by the camera appear on a monitor. Doctors can look for any abnormalities in the stomach or intestines. This new endoscope uses specific types of light to locate minute cancerous growths, which doctors can often overlook.
Special types of light? Tell me more about it.
The endoscope uses two types of light. It uses a blue light, which has a wavelength of 415 nanometers, and a green light, which has a wavelength of 540 nanometers.
Blue and green, why is that?
These rays are readily absorbed by the hemoglobin, the substance that carries the oxygen inside the blood. The short wavelengths mean that the light will only penetrate the mucous membrane lining the inside of an organ to a shallow depth. In other words, when mucous lining of the stomach and intestines are exposed to the blue and green light, the light will be absorbed by the blood vessels near the surface, while the other areas will reflect and bounce back the light. The intensity of the reflected light is used to locate the blood vessels.
Wait a moment. How can they detect cancer by locating blood vessels?
Cancer cells reproduce very quickly, meaning they require lots of nutrients. Numerous capillaries will form around the cancerous growth.
I see. So a concentration of capillaries could indicate the presence of cancer. But why use the two different colors of light?
Blue and green have different wavelengths, meaning the light will penetrate different depths. Green has a longer wavelength, meaning it can penetrate slightly deeper. When the two are combined, doctors can get a detailed view of the mucous lining of the area near its surface, which is susceptible to cancerous growths.
So how did they come up with the idea of using these particular types of light?
Endoscopes have been constantly improved so that doctors can get clearer images.
Yes, some of the recent ones can provide images that make it seem as if a person is actually viewing the sights with his or her own eyes.
Some doctors, however, have said that true-to-life images aren't enough. There are various types of cancer of the large intestine. For example, the type characterized by polyp-like protrusions, the one characterized by laterally spreading growths, and the type where the cancerous growths occur underneath the mucous lining. When there aren't any protrusions, slight differences in color, for instance, are the only means of detection. This makes it difficult for doctors to detect any cancer, particularly in its early stages.
I see.
The new endoscope was developed by the Japanese producer of optical equipment, Olympus. Instantly, they were the first team to develop a gastric camera. The engineers took a very different approach. Instead of trying to obtain a view of everything with the aid of a conventional, bright source of light, they tried to highlight only particular areas. Here's Sakae Takehana, one of the engineers who helped develop the new endoscope.
光の波長によって得られる情報が異なってくるということが分かりましたので、それを今度は逆に利用してあげようと。
We found that we can see different things depending on the wavelengths of the light. We figured we could harness that to pinpoint and observe details particular to cancer. We guessed that we would be able to see things that weren't visible before.
The two types of light are a tool for viewing things that aren't visible to the naked eye. Is this endoscope already in use?
Yes, it is. It became available in June last year and is already being used in hospitals and other medical facilities. Here's Dr. Yasushi Sano, one of the doctors who worked with Olympus in developing this new endoscope. He feels it has greatly increased the detection rates for cancer.
例えば大腸のポリープ、そういったものに関しますと、
For example, we've had a 20 to 30% increase in the detection of abnormalities in the large intestine. This is an amazing increase. We can see things that aren't readily visible to the naked eye. This should have considerable benefits around the world in the fields of diagnosis, treatment, and discovery. Dr. Sano says the device is particularly effective in detecting cancer at its very early stages.
Yes, it's vital to detect any cancer and nip it in the bud as quickly as possible. It's wonderful if this device can help detect cancer in its early stages.
Olympus is also developing other technologies.
What are they doing?
One of the technologies harnesses another feature of blue light. Collagen, a type of protein which is present in the mucous linings, will emit minute amounts of green light when blue light is projected into the stomach and intestines. A weaker light indicates the presence of cancer. The intensity of the light is a means for locating cancerous growths. The other method is to locate blood vessels with the aid of infrared light. The long wavelength of infrared light enables it to penetrate deep into the mucous lining, allowing doctors to seek out any abnormalities that might be there.
The combination of these three technologies could boost detection rates for cancer.
That's right. Today's edition featured a new type of endoscope that can detect cancer with the aid of specific types of light.
Yuji, thank you for your report.
Thank you.
A massive earthquake hit large areas centering in Niigata Prefecture along the Sea of Japan on Monday. As of noon Tuesday, 9 people were killed and more than 1,000 people are injured by the quake. Thousands of people are evacuated to shelters. We would like to express our sympathy to the victims of the quake and hope to see rapid reconstruction process in the areas. And that's all for today. Please join us again tomorrow to hear more about Japan. This has been Kaori Nimura. Thank you and bye-bye.